in the top right position, the blue Terran player from Western Wolves. It is Morrow. And his opponent spawning in the bottom left from Team Dignitas. The blue, and also the teal Protoss, which is going to mean our production is going to be very angry. It is the Protoss player DreAm.
I think it's Morrow that was supposed to be red, if I recall correctly. So, for what it's worth, it's Morrow that Nick's slightly frustrated with right now. But never mind. If it's important enough that it has to come to a regame, I'm sure Nick will let the players know. But it's going to be frustrating for us as well, especially teal and blue in a mirror match. Oh my goodness, some of these things are so hard to tell sometimes.
It is Zerg. ZVZ has got to be the worst if they are similar colors.
Oh yes, by far, like not even close. Although,
especially when you get Zergling Baneling engagements with similar colors, and you just want to pull your hair out.
If you get two Zealot Balls engaging each other, that can be really confusing as well. Or Blink Stalkers blinking into each other.
Yes.
Very, very confusing. I mean, at least with something like Phoenixes, they tend to be in two very distinct groups. But ground armies for Protoss can get very muddled up very quickly.
But that's fine. It just makes our job much more challenging, Jorisar, which of course is very much more fun. Now, in terms of what these two are doing at the moment, we can see that DreAm getting his gateway, getting his gas down, nothing too crazy. Morrow is once more going to be going for a command center first build as he is rapidly approaching the 400 mineral mark, and that is all fine. It's a safe map to go for this on. DreAm, he's really got to throw something new out here, Jorisar, in my opinion, because Game 1 and 2 haven't been too good for him. Even though he held nicely in Game 2 on that first push, he was far behind. Game 1, he got a little bit outplayed. So Game 3, he's got to come with a new strategy, something that is going to catch Morrow off guard, because Morrow's already shown that he can deal with mech, he can do mech and infantry very effectively.
Well, under normal circumstances, DreAm might have been able to hold in game number 2. A lot of gas was put into those oracles, which could have been sentries. And with good force fields, you can start slowly segmenting and chipping away at bio armies with SCV pulls and really put your opponent in a horrible position economically. That kind of thing is possible, but not when there's no energy or no sentries. So, really, I don't think DreAm needs to change his game up too much. I'm still of the belief with those 4 oracles that he lost in Morrow's main, that first push would have been a lot nicer for our Protoss player. So I think DreAm should be confident in his builds and should continue to do what he feels is best, but maybe just refine his execution a little bit. Just keep his corner of his eye out for anything funky, make sure his defense and his micro is perfect. That's the kind of change I'd like to see him make here.
I think it would be a brilliant change that he doesn't mix it up too much, because if you start going out of your comfort zone, as you said, you are out of your comfort zone. It's not things that you're used to doing. But having said that, I think the DreAm in some ways would be good going for a bit of a nice gentle situation where he goes for a common build where something like a quick robo up into Colossi and just techs up nicely, macros up, and goes for that sort of more mid and late game situation, as opposed to trying to deal with anything too early on. But having said that, that's what he tried to do in Game 1, and Morrow tore it down with his mech force.
I wonder if DreAm's going to be doing that in game number 2 as well, Maddles. We see an interesting looking pylon at the third base of DreAm very, very early on here. For a second before the natural went down, I was thinking, what is he actually going to be hiding there in terms of a building as well? But that doesn't seem to be the case at the moment. So we'll keep an eye out on that and see if that's just a preliminary scout for a third base, or if he wants to put something a little more sinister in that location. In the meantime, though, we have more Marines, and +1 now started reasonably early on from Morrow, who did get that early engineering bay. And he's also getting the bunker down at his natural, so our early game aggression here against him will cease to be effective in a few moments.
Now, I think that pylon was ultimately just for DreAm to make sure that no sneaky shenanigans were going to be occurring, because he also sent a probe down to the right of his main to make sure there was nothing proxied. So clearly, just being very cautious, which makes sense, because if you are 2-0 down, you don't want to go 3-0 down to some kind of proxy play, which is actually effective on this map. Let's face it, over on that right position there, you can do some really funky things like a proxy factory in Stargate and go for Hellion drops into the main. That makes you cry.
Oh, yeah.
Makes you cry horrible.
It does make you cry indeed. It's not the kind of thing any player feels good losing to, so you could be completely right there. I think also the fact that it's positioned on the edge of the third base, now I think about it, just about enable it to scout for drops as well, which can, of course, be very useful. DreAm, though, in the meantime, is going to stop playing the guessing game now by sending his observer across the map. He will be able to spot exactly what's going on with Morrow quite quickly indeed, as he drops the double forge of his own back in his main.
So, where does DreAm go from here? He's got those 2 forges, as you said. That's going to allow him to go into the mid-game really quite nicely. We have also got a nice robotic facility down, pumping out at the moment just a lot of observers though. And this is very similar to game 1, where DreAm got out those 4 observers quickly. A scan being utilized here by Morrow. Won't really get a good read on what's occurring though. Doesn't see anything with that. So will he risk another scan into the main base? Because he needs to identify that this Twilight Council and the double forge are coming down.
DreAm only now just starting a pylon, though. Very supply block there on 60 for a while. And you're absolutely right, Metals. There was no purchase whatsoever on that initial scan, and Morrow now has to make the decision whether or not he wishes to expend an additional 50 energy to check out what's going on inside the main way. We'll be able to spot the Twilight Council is about to complete. And we do have those double forges continuously making upgrades as well. So the quality of DreAm's army is going to go up substantially very soon.
It will go up substantially, and that's the point where actually Morrow has to be a little bit cautious, but he is just finishing up with Stim and Combat Shield. He has +1 infantry weapons finished, and this is really getting to the point where actually some nice timing pushes can go down. The only thing missing are the medevacs, but the first 2 are in production, and that's when you can start hitting some beautiful timing windows where actually Protoss players can really struggle to defend. However, DreAm, he's going straight up to a Templar Archives. This is a very bold move.
And a lot of gateways being added on as well. So speaking of timings, DreAm looks like he wants to try and execute something of his own. Templar Archives about to complete. A lot of gateways going down. Are these Templars going to be to warp straight into Archons? Because I don't think Morrow's army is going to wait until Storm is finished researching before he knocks down the front door.
And yeah, this is... Well, the one thing that DreAm can get out is some Archons.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that was his plan in the first place, and it looks like it is, because he's just warping in High Templars and doing not much else at the moment. He's got 2 ready there. Is he researching Sonic Storm? He is not. But Morrow
he knows this is coming. He can see with the observer that this push is coming through, so that's what he's being a little bit cautious of. But there comes a scan from Morrow. He just wants to know whether he's going to be able to push into this, and he's got a sizable chunk of infantry here. But the first Archon morphing in a feedback did go on the medevac. That was really nice there out of DreAm. And with the Photon Overcharge, he is holding this push off for the moment.
And the first Archon actually being warped in after the start of that engagement, Maddles, and that's because DreAm wanted to get those feedbacks off first. So a pretty good little bit of micro there from him. We can understand why that happened now. In the meantime, Morrow looking like he wants to try and come in for round 2. Photo Overcharge is still here. Can he pick off the Archon? Yes, he can.
And of course, getting that Archon is a really big thing, Joristar, because that now means that army is significantly weaker. But so is Morrow's. He's got 4 Marauders and 1 Marine over here. That is not enough to keep plowing in, especially as reinforcements come in for DreAm. But this is just putting a little bit of pressure on the Protoss player. Meanwhile, Morrow, he's just happily taking his 3rd and just making sure nothing sneaky is going on. He will find that proxy pylon as well. That's frustrating to say the least.
Yeah, it really is. He's also got his 3rd base not quite in its optimal position at the moment. He's actually making an orbital command quite far away from the minerals, but he should be floating that over in due course. Also putting down the bunker in advance. Luckily not in a position that would block the command center. As DreAm now moving out towards his own 3rd here on Daybreak, putting the pylon back down and saying to Morrow, look, I actually think I can take your army now.
He can, but the one thing that he desperately needs out is for that robotics bay to complete so he can get some Colossi onto the field for the extra splash. He's currently relying on these charge lots and Archons, and that just means that these little poking and prods are going to be very cost effective for Morrow, or while he keeps just kiting them back. He does have his 3rd base up as well, and as we can see, just DreAm chasing a long way here.
Yeah, and there are no force fields as well, so it's quite frustrating for DreAm to be in a situation where he can't actually stop that Biomic moving back. In fact, I think he's going to lift it up and try and move straight into the main base as well. He's boosted a couple of those medevacs, and there we go. 1 medevac full actually getting out, not very much. So Morrow actually lost a sizable chunk there, and as a result, DreAm is currently in the supply lead. It was 104 to 99 a moment ago.
In terms of the worker count, though, Morrow is ahead, 58 to 56, and he has 3 mules. That means income-wise, Morrow is in a very happy place, mining about 1,000 more minerals per minute than that of his Protoss opponent. Also, DreAm is only just now starting his 3rd Nexus. That factory came back, landed once more, and delayed it even further. The first Colossus, though, is soon to hit the field, and there is the upgrade advantage there for DreAm. He's got 2-2 done, and has 3-3 already a quarter through, and chrono boosting religiously.
He has to hit some sort of timing against Morrow. Morrow has had his 3rd base up and running far, far longer than DreAm would otherwise have liked, and he needs to really make use of this potential 3-3 timing here. Whether it's with just a Colossus or 2, that's fine, but he needs to do significant damage to his Terran opponents soon, and ideally take out the 3rd base. Otherwise, Morrow's going to start creeping in with a bit of a supply lead, and once Ghosts are out on the field as well, I think it could get quite tricky for DreAm here, man.
It could start getting really tricky for him, but that's why the Colossi could be really beneficial, because currently there are 0 Vikings on the field. The medevac count isn't great either, with only 6, and therefore Morrow doesn't want to get in a situation where he's having to prioritize. He is now starting 2 Vikings up. I don't believe... Did he see the robotics blade? No, he hasn't seen that down yet. So, and he also hasn't scanned and seen any Colossi. So he's just getting that due to it being around the 15-minute mark where tech switches start occurring for Protoss players, and they start getting both High Templar and Colossi, regardless of in which order. But Morrow, he feels he's got the map dominance, taking a 4th base, and he's ready to just move in towards this 3rd and really apply some pressure hard.
Neither of those scans actually saw the tech or the army of DreAm, so Morrow going in a little bit blind here, and he's going to be hitting a fistful of Protoss as he moves into this 3rd base location, deciding, hang on a second, this might not be the best idea. He's going to be stimming and trying his best to start a step away at the moment. The Zealot providing a decent shield for DreAm as he continues to move on forward. We have the Colossus and the Archons just zoned out at the moment, and excellent EMPs coming from those Ghosts in the back, and now the tables are turned. Morrow is stimming to chase.
He is. Those EMPs absolutely game-winning there, potentially. As we see Morrow just chase it down, the Colossus falls. There is a 2nd one in production, but it will not be out in time. The Archon's taking a massive amount of fire. We can see that the Mothership Core does have full energy, but Photon Overcharge not being utilized. Zealots are all falling. A Time Warp is now being triggered. The Mothership Core with full energy gets taken out with only a few Stalkers surviving. Morrow, he is pushing forward. He has got a 35 supply advantage, and this 3rd Nexus is in a tremendous amount of problems, Charizard.
Yeah, it really is, and that overextension from DreAm into the Ghost is very difficult for DreAm to actually see what Morrow had up his sleeve here. He's just used to sending in the Zealots to try and snipe off individual units as Morrow kites back, and that proved to really come back and bite him in the bum on this occasion, Maddles, because those Ghosts did a complete number on the army, and it looks like DreAm might even go 3-0 down here.
He may go 3-0 down. He's not got really anything scary in his composition for the moment. There's Ghosts out, there's a single Colossus on the field up against admittedly only 1 Viking, but already Morrow is resupplying those, and the Viking count will now always be above the Colossi count. And Morrow, he's got his 4th up. He's on equal workers. He does have those 3 mules as well. That is just a fantastic spot for him to be in, and he's taking the 7th and 8th gas geyser as well. This is where things go really hard as a Protoss player to try and deal with this force, because this poking and prodding is going to be relentless.
He's doing a lot of poking and prodding into this 3rd base, and really keeping DreAm on his toes at the moment is Morrow. Still enjoying that 30 supply lead. He's even getting building aura now, presumably because why the hell not would be his thought process at this point as he now moves in, possibly for the kill. Great starting EMPs. Oh my god, those are sick.
They were fantastic EMPs. 2 Archons weren't caught in them, but look at those Colossi at the back, chasing down as quickly as possible. And that just means that with those Colossi gone, the infantry are going up against nothing but gateway units. It will get cleaned up, but look at that train of blue units coming across the map. Reinforcements are on their way. Morrow with a better economy, he's just going to be able to macro as long as he keeps the big AoE damage dealers down in DreAm's army. He can afford to keep trading like this, and I don't have a problem with that because he's losing a little bit more resources than that of DreAm, but his economy is so much better he can afford to do it.
Yeah, Morrow could have taken out those Colossi just a little bit sooner. He kind of gave DreAm a little bit of an upper hand in that particular fight. But he is back up to 140 supply very quickly, though, and I can't help but feel that the sooner Morrow hits with a follow-up attack like he's doing now, the better, because he doesn't want DreAm to get up to 7 or 8 Colossus or something like that and actually be in a position where a couple of swipes decimates an entire army. I feel Morrow needs to go again and needs to go again soon.
Yeah, he needs to go again, ideally before that second Colossus hit the field, but it's now there. If a third one comes out, suddenly Morrow needs to have a good few more Vikings, because if you don't have those Vikings with 3-4 Colossi out, your infantry will just melt. And
he's not making any.
He's not making any, because he's got to resupply those medevacs. He's only got 3 on the field at the moment. He needs at least sort of 5-7 out, otherwise he's not going to have enough to be able to keep his infantry alive, and the gateway trades will be difficult for him. And as we can see, DreAm, he's taking a bit of a risk here by taking his 4th, but it had to be done, Jorasar.
Yeah, this is a very delicate situation here for DreAm. He needs to balance being able to defend his 4th with not allowing his opponent to actually just go ahead and do whatever the heck he wants. DreAm has to try to find some sort of opening here to be aggressive, but there's just nowhere that Morrow is actually weak at the moment where he's saying, hey, why don't you come attack me right here? Because DreAm risks a massive counterattack if he goes for something like that.
He would, and DreAm actually hasn't rebuilt his mothership core, so he's got no option of a mass recall, which is, I would flatly say that's a mistake. There's no reason not to have a mothership core in your composition as a Protoss player. It's so powerful, especially if you do start trying to push out and deal a little bit of harassment. You need the option to just mass recall out of there to come and defend in a base race.
That's true, actually. Like, the lack of a mothership core with this army is going to be very frustrating, especially with bio that can stim and run away. At the very least, you want to be able to put down 1 or 2 really, really strong time warps at any sort of opportune moment. As well as that, though, the mothership core, like you mentioned, allows the units to recall, and that's going to give him just a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more peace of mind. Knowing that he can get the army out of dodge if required. Because right now, Maddles, if he loses the battle, the game's gone.
Yeah, the game has just flat out gone if he does lose it. So this is where things get really tough. DreAm is about to have Psionic Storm, though. That will desperately help him, but already these Ghosts getting some great snipes off. The EMPs are going to be hitting nicely as well. We can see that a couple of the Archons did manage to dodge them, though, and that means that DreAm is going to be able to engage this force here. The Colossi are still up. A couple of storms just forcing Morrow to micro back, but Morrow with the supply advantage, we can see that suddenly these Colossi starting to melt, and with this, yeah, Morrow's won now. He must have done this.
He picked DreAm, let his Colossi get picked off there. He didn't have them safely behind the Zealots and Stalkers in the army composition, and that was just way too bad, unfortunately, as Morrow surges into a 30 supply lead, picking off units as they get warped in. Zealots with charge. Okay, he's going to blink back, stim back against just a little bit, but it's not going to be enough. GG, and Morrow takes a 3-0 advantage.